You also need to be humble. You cannot have too much pride. Notice, though, a man must conquer pride, not kill it. Let's write that down at 2a. That's an obvious message here. What's the difference between conquering pride and killing it? Well, we go back to our Beowulf study in Beowulf 2. Remember, Grendel's mom, we said, is an evil that often is going to be representative of what we call pride. That is to say, don't think too highly of yourself. Always make sure that you're checking to make sure that you have some humility, the poet will tell us. Fate, line 115 to finish our poem. Fate is stronger and God mightier than any man's mind. Our thoughts should turn to where our home is. Look at that line again. Our thoughts should turn to where our home is. A warrior, alone, a seafarer, out in the middle of the sea, thinks about home. Many soldiers have reported that when they are in the middle of some terrible experience, far away, the one thing they think about is home. Consider the ways of coming there, that is to say, to home. Then strive for sure permission for us to rise to that eternal joy, that life born in the love of God and the hope of heaven. Praise the holy grace of him who honored us, eternal, unchanging creator of earth. Amen. Let's finish now with two quick observations. One, notice the last word of this poem. This poem almost seems to be like not just an elegy, a sad statement, but almost like a prayer, right? Definitely didactic, definitely instructional. And what is it that it's instructing? The instruction here is make sure that you keep yourself in check. Try to remember what matters most. And for this poet, what matters most is home. Home. Now let's jump, of course, to some quick level 2 and 3 observations. At level 2, obviously we've mentioned several messages, themes here already. We've mentioned already some literary techniques. Go back, for example, really quickly to page 18 and just pay attention under literary analysis to all of the different kinds of literary analysis topics that are there. The kenning we already saw for the whale's home being the sea, right? Find an example of assonance. Find an example of alliteration as you prepare for the examination. This would make some sense. Let's talk level 3 really quickly. At 3A, what is for you the text that best represents the distinction between being alone and loneliness? What is for you the classic example in a film, a video game? What is your favorite song about loneliness and getting through loneliness? The only way to get through loneliness is to stay alive, to keep sailing, to borrow the metaphor from Seafarer, and hope that someday you'll get back home. That is to say, to a place where you are safe. Finally, let's ask about 3B. How do you relate to a title like this? When was the time for you that you most identified with what the Seafarer is saying? A time when you were lost and alone and lonely. A second question. Do you think it's at all helpful to say out loud the reasons you're lonely, to write about them? I've had many students that report, you know what, when I write about how I feel lonely, it somehow seems to make me feel a little less lonely, like I somehow have the ability to kind of write my way through it. Of course, many will say, it's not for me so much writing it, for me it's more about finding somebody with whom I can share something about how I feel. I can sit down with someone, a pal, or maybe a counselor, and I can somehow work through the wretchedness, a word from our poem, the wretchedness that I'm feeling. Of course, finally, we could point out, this poem suggests there is home. There is a place somewhere where our thoughts can kind of go back to trend back to. He says, our thoughts should turn to where our home is. Well, there you go. The first of our 3 poems from Exeter book. I hope that it's been revelatory for you. Thank you.